Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday morning. I just want to do an update video and go over some things from the course. We have two assignments coming up that I want to give you some specific information on. And once again, reiterate, if you have any questions as you're doing the assignments, please give me a call. So the first assignment is what I call the in the syllabus, it's called a research assignment. That's mislabeled. It should be policy assignment. It's correctly labeled on Moodle. So this is a two-part assignment. The first is you're going to identify a state or federal policy that was enacted, meaning it was passed, not just proposed, in the last 5 years. It does not have to be related to child welfare specifically. It can be anything related to children or families. So it can be a policy related to children's health, possibly maybe something like autism or mental health. Could be drug and alcohol policies that have to do with funding for services for drug and alcohol. There's a lot of policies happening around that right now, both at the state and federal level. It could have to do with policies related to crime and criminal sentencing or criminal charges. It could be a policy related to sex offenders. So it's a wide area of open for what what you can include for a policy. It doesn't have to be just the major child welfare policies. And the orange person that you see flitting across the screen is Jalen in his baseball uniform. He has a game today at 11, and I'm in orange to support. There he is. Say hello, Jalen. Okay. Okay, so my purpose in doing this is so that you can better understand policies that have been enacted in the last several years. Some of you may have done a similar assignment in your Social Work 801 course, but not all faculty do that assignment. And some of you, if you're advanced standing, you may not take 801, and we actually have a couple brand new students in this course, so you haven't yet taken 801. So this assignment is really just bringing it all together and looking at how policy impacts our practice. So there are a series of questions. It is very much question and answer format. However, please make sure that you have the full correct citation for the policy that you are using and that your name is on the paper. You don't necessarily have to have a cover page. You can put your name right at the top and like a heading. And you do not need an abstract, and your references could be at the bottom of the paper rather than on a separate page, because I do print them, so this will conserve me in how much I have to print. The second part of the assignment is I provide a link to the federal tracking system for proposed legislation. So you go on that site, you search, again, similar broadness of topics, anything that's been introduced in the current Congress, both at the House or Senate level, and you're going to tell me a little bit about, a little bit about what the bill is, and then hopefully you will track it by putting in your email address. And this is to encourage you to stay informed about what is happening, possibly even to get involved. I would love to hear if any of you do take the initiative to contact your House or Senate representative, either at the state or federal level, regarding policy and what feedback you get. Social work has, at the state level through NASW and at the federal level, we have become more involved in policy advocacy, but on the local level, social workers, we just don't see that as, I don't know, as important, or we don't have enough time, but we don't realize the impact that legislation has on our clients and that we can have a voice starting from the very beginning. So I look forward to what you're going to do for your policy assignment. Someone drew my attention to the fact that I believe the syllabus says 1 page, and then Moodle I say 2 pages. Really, that is because for me, I think of it as mostly 1 page, but I have found from recent experiences with students, it normally takes about 2 pages to answer the questions and then to do the extra piece at the bottom with identifying a currently proposed legislation that you're going to follow. If you have any questions, please let me know. The second big assignment that I want to talk about in this recording is the evidence-based practice assignment. So that is also a two-part assignment. The first is that you are going to identify using the databases provided on Moodle. This is not something that you can search up using like EBSCOhost or Google Scholar. You have to use a database similar to the ones I provided on Moodle. I provided about half dozen different databases. They have been set up to search for evidence-based practices. Most of them do a rating or ranking, and that's where you will identify an evidence-based practice. I provided several examples in a folder. You'll see that the format of this is different than probably any other assignment you've done in graduate school so far. It's not a paper per se, but more of a fact sheet, a brief, brochure, if you want to say it, but I don't necessarily want it in trifold. But it is with some creativity. You want to make it so that someone would want to read this. You want to draw attention to the information that you are putting onto your fact sheet by, sectioning out areas, and follow the syllabus and what I have on Moodle in terms of what's to be included in your evidence-based practice brief / fact sheet. I use those words interchangeably. The purpose of this is to get you into the databases so that you're familiar with them if you're not already, to have you become a critical consumer of evidence-based practices so that you understand the ratings that are now happening out there, that you become more familiar with one evidence-based practice yourself. I highly, highly, highly recommend that after you do the database search, that you then go out and do some additional searching on the evidence-based practice that you selected. Excuse me. For example, if you select trauma-focused CBT, then you do a Google search of TFCBT, which should take you to their website, which would provide you with more updated information from their website. You might even do a search on Google Scholar or EBSCOhost just to see what has been published maybe in the last year on that evidence-based practice, if anything, to maybe include, one piece of information from that, or maybe just something that you find on Google around who's using it. Because the second part of this assignment is where you're going to be matched with a partner, and I have purposely decided not to do the matching just yet because I wanted to get to know all of you better and have an idea of where there would be good matches. So you and a partner will need to have one phone call, probably, maybe two. And you can't do the phone call until after you've done your evidence-based practice brief. And if for some reason both you and your partner identify that you want to do the same evidence-based practice brief, I will switch up partners. I will tell you that I want to know what evidence-based practice you want to do your brief on so that I don't have 10 people doing trauma-focused CBT, because that then doesn't become educational for everyone in the class if everyone is doing the same. And there are just so many out there that you can do. There are great ones related to parenting, to working with fathers, to drug and alcohol, to working with teens, to working with children who have experienced trauma beyond trauma-focused CBT. There's just so much out there that we, with 31 students total, there should be no need for duplication of the evidence-based practice. So once you've done your evidence-based practice brief, and you can be talking to your partner, maybe while you're working on it, but really it's after it happens, you're going to have a conversation and you're going to talk about what did you find out, and tell each other a little bit about your EBP. And then you should look up whether you can find if that EBP is being implemented in your local communities, and if so, by who. And if you can find any information out about that, you should look up a little bit about where else it's being done if it's not being done in your community. Maybe this is something that originated in Portland, Oregon, and it's only been implemented in a few communities in the country, or maybe only in Portland, Oregon. So you want to have some knowledge about that. And then you want to talk about how might you implement it in your community. what agency would it fit with? Is it something that would be implemented by a child welfare agency? Is it something that might be implemented by a school, a nonprofit agency, a for-profit agency, your agency? And then talk with each other about each of your evidence-based practices, what you see as the possibilities of doing this in your community, who it would benefit, how it might be implemented, and then what are the challenges. And then basically what you're going to do is a summary of that conversation. So I would like one summary per pair, whether you do it that one person types it up or you each type, your perspective of the summary or how your EBP would be done in both communities. But it is intended to be a discussion of both communities. And so not just how your EBP would be done in, Scranton, and your partner's EBP would be done in Allentown, but the crossover, how might each other's EBPs be done in their local communities as you educate each other and share some of that. This is the first time I'm doing this part of this assignment. I've done the EBPs now for several semesters, but I wanted to engage the students in a conversation about how to get these EBPs into the real world. So I look forward to your feedback in terms of how this assignment is working. Please ask me questions along the way so that if you have a question, I'm sure others have a question. What will happen then is there'll be an assignment folder on Moodle, and you can just both upload the same assignment into the folder so that I have it for both partners, because I am going to do some crossover between the two sections. So you'll have the same assignment for the evidence-based practice in the real world. You'll both submit the same assignment. Hope that's making sense. The quiz is this weekend. Hopefully people are doing okay with the quiz. I've checked it out for a few people who have done it already, and it seems like the scores are good. The way this works is if you looked at the end of taking the quiz, it would have told you your score. So for example, 9 out of 10, but it wouldn't tell you which one you got wrong. Once I close the quiz, and I will let you know when that is. I'm shooting for Tuesday or Wednesday. I do have one student that I know is having some issues and may need an extra day for the quiz. So once I close it, I will let everyone know. And once it's closed, then you can go back in and see which one you got wrong or which two you got wrong, whatever. If you have any concerns after having taken the quiz, please reach out to me. I have done about 4 or 5 of the mid-semester check-ins. I have a bunch more scheduled for later today and tomorrow. If you haven't yet contacted me to schedule the mid-semester check-in, please do so that we can talk over the next several days. And I will be scanning in the forums that I've graded and your current event paper and getting those back out to you as soon as possible. So if you have any questions as we move through the last 2 weeks of the course, please let me know. And I look forward to talking with all of you.